Good morning and welcome everyone to another live performance kitchen. I hope you've all had a fabulous week. I know we're hoping to be nearly out of this lockdown soon, guys. I really have enjoyed doing all of these cooks with you. So what are we doing this morning? I have decided to go with the savoury muffin. Now I'm going to be honest with you all, it's not something that I have made before. So I've spent this week doing a little bit of research on your behalf. So pick out flavours and find the best ways of making the savoury muffin as appropriate to athletes and for your pre and post snacks, etc. as possible, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I did a little taste test with members of my family the other day and I'm really happy with the 3 options I've given on the recipe card. Now there are 3. I'm going to stick with just making one with you today, but they're really simple. So the other thing I want to talk to you today when we start our cooking is about how versatile this is and how you can adapt it and add in all your favourite ingredients to make these as personal as you like. Let's start by putting our ovens on. So it's 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 Celsius, gas mark 6, so it's quite high. So let's put the ovens on. And then the first thing we're going to do is create our basic muffin base. So if you have a nice large mixing bowl, something like this, we're going to start with the dry ingredients. Now I've given options because of course we'll look at this as a pre-run and a post-run or pre-exercise, post-exercise dish. If you wanted to have just before you do a run, then can I suggest you go with plain flour? And the reason for that is it's high glycemic, it's not going to affect your gut, so the digestive issues of more refined carbs like brown, and you're going to get your instant release of energy from it. If you're going to do it as a post-run, we're going to use more complex carbohydrates, so I want you to start experimenting using oats, using wholemeal flours, spelt flours, and all the fun and exciting carbohydrates that we have, which will keep our blood sugar levels lovely and baseline and not affect our sleep. Okay, so I'm doing post, so I'm going to go with a really good wholemeal flour, and it's 200 grams. So let's pop that straight into our mixing bowl. We don't need to bother about sieving or anything like that. Just pour in 200 grams straight into your mixing bowl. And then to that, we're going to add 40 grams of our jumbo oats. Now, jumbo oats are again brilliant. They are really good source of your slow releasing energy. So I love them. I love them at breakfast times. You know, I put them in my healthy flapjacks, and I'm obviously now putting them into a savoury dish. 40 grams, not a huge amount. Pop that straight in. Okay, now to that, our raising agent. We want our muffins to be lovely and light, lovely and fluffy, just like the sweet version. So we're going to go for 2 teaspoons, not tablespoons, of baking powder. Just again, pop that straight in, sprinkle it in, and the last of the dry ingredient is your bicarbonate. Now you don't need too much of this. It has quite a strong sort of soapy taste, so please don't go excessive on it. 1/4 teaspoon straight in. Okay, let's literally stir those ingredients together, just like that, and then we're going to very simply do our wet ingredients. Slightly smaller bowl required. Pop that on the scales. Before we weigh in anything else, because you know I like to save all this washing up, let's just break our eggs in and give them a quick stir. Okay, 2 eggs. You know I always ask you to use free range. They have got more, in addition to the benefit obviously to the animal, they're much better in terms of their nutrient density. So if you can, try and get free range eggs. They tend not to cost very much. You don't have to worry about organic and things like that. Just make sure that they're free range. Okay, let's just give them a quick little whiz up like that, and then we're going to add to that. I've given options in terms of the yogurt. So you can either go for 250 grams of Greek yogurt, 250 grams of cottage cheese, or 250 grams of buttermilk, or a plant-based vegan alternative. This is really important. We are really keen to get as much protein in athletes as possible. We know that we have wonderful abundant sources of carbohydrate, but it is the protein that is so important, specifically as a recovery, in terms of muscle resynthesis, in terms of rebuilding your muscle, stopping all the muscle soreness, Super important. So I'm going to use the cottage cheese, but please choose your preference or whatever you can get hold of. They're all as good as each other. And let's just pour that in. This is actually going to be a more protein dish than carbohydrate dish, as we've got the eggs as well. So that's really, really important. And I know, because I get so many messages from you guys, that it's always about how can we increase the protein in our diet. This recipe is brilliant for that. Right, so we've now got cottage cheese, we've got eggs, 4 tablespoons of olive oil. So again, I'm not using melted butter in this. I think it's better to use an oil, and it works really, really well, particularly as it's savoury. So 4 tablespoons of olive oil. You don't have to go for the extra virgin in this because we're baking. So any of those additional elements would be lost in terms of that. So let's just go with that. And then just literally whisk them together. You don't have to worry that they're perfectly combined. This muffin thing is literally the easiest thing in the world to make. That's why children make them all the time. So here we go. You can see it all looks like, oh, it's not going to work. It works perfectly, don't worry. Okay, so now we've got our wet and our dry ingredients. We're literally just going to combine them. I want you guys to think about this recipe like an alternative to where you'd have bread. So this will take any flavour whatsoever. This one I'm making with you today is brilliant with something like soup. It literally has very similar consistency to a muffin. So if you can imagine breaking it and eating it with soup, but yes, it's more protein than carbs. It's a wonderful option for you. Okay, so we're literally just going to pour the wet ingredients into the dry, and then this is where it's quite important. We do not want to beat out any of the air. We want these muffins to be light and lifted once they're baked. So literally just fold. We've done this folding technique before. Folding. Question
about the eggs when they went in.
The eggs go in. I did them at the very start of the wet ingredients, the eggs. And the reason I put them in first was purely so I could give them a whisk without using an extra bowl. And you can obviously add them at any point with the wet ingredients. So they go in, it's eggs, it's your yogurt, it's your olive oil. Mix them together and then put them in here, okay? So we just fold those through, and then it's just to combine. So don't worry that you just want to make sure that most of the dry ingredient is combined. Okay, now I have gone for the fabulous carrot, onion, cumin, spinach version. So we're going to fry our onions, but I want to show you the technique. I had a group of athletes this week. Very good athletes, but they're not necessarily spent a huge amount of time in the kitchen. And one thing I gained from them all is that a lot of the basics of home cooking have not necessarily always been taught. I think most importantly is a cutting technique. So I have got with me one of my onions here. Let me just grab my knife. Now what I would say is a massive benefit to home cooking. Try to have a really good knife, a really simple chopping board, and a really good saucepan. It literally is down to those three utensils. So sharpen your knife. If it isn't sharp, go out and get a knife sharpener. There are a couple of pounds in Tesco's or other supermarkets. And if it's sharp, cutting an onion should be a pleasure. Now, I've always been taught the bridge technique, so I'm going to teach you how to do it my way. You guys might know, which is brilliant, but for those that don't, we cut it in half, lay the flat side down, and you use your fingers like a bridge, and that's obviously to protect them. Now, the first thing you can do is just slice it horizontally about 3 ways. Pinch your fingers, place them on the top, and just go through, depending on the size of your onion, maybe 3 or 4 slices. Then take your fingers into the bridge position, and then slice down vertically, maybe 6 or 7 times. And then from that, you can start to slice tiny dices. It protects your fingers, it's relatively pleasant, and you get perfect diced onion. Now, practice obviously makes perfect, but genuinely, once we start to enjoy cooking, we do it more often. And I just want you guys to start enjoy cooking. You know it's more beneficial than buying them from the shops or from going into restaurants. So I just want to make it really, really easy for you. Now, the next thing to make life really, really easy is a non-stick pan. We've talked about it a million times. Stops things sticking, stops you adding too much baddies when lots of fats and butters to stop things sticking. One 28 centimetres that is, so one largish frying pan. please use your spray bottle, because we always pour in more oil than we need. I'm going to go for about 7 sprays of this, just to literally coat the bottom. And then just put it on a high flame for a few seconds. Now we're going for 1 red onion. The reason we're using red onion, as I've said before, if possible, wherever you're picking a vegetable or a fruit, choose the darkest version of it. It was higher in micronutrients. So unless there's any reason that you don't like the flavour of red onion, and as far as I'm aware there's no difference in its flavour to the white, please choose the red variety. It has additional micronutrient properties. So please, just 1 swap today, that would be it. Okay, we're going to put in the diced onion and we're going to just caramelise it. So it's going to take about maybe 3 or 4 minutes, depending on how hot your saucepan is, but we want to have that lovely caramelised colour. It's going to go into a hot oven for 20 minutes, so don't worry that it's fully cooked through. We just want to start that caramelisation, getting out the sweetness from your red onion. Now, whilst that's happening, let me just talk you through the other ingredients that we're using. I have said this week, I have looked so carefully at iron for some of my athletes, and I've started to realise it's not about whether you're anemic, it's about low iron. As athletes, we have a stronger demand on our iron stores because of the extra exercise we do. So we need to be even more considerate about how much iron we have. And it's not maybe a blowout once or twice a month. It means a daily adequate supply of iron to make sure that you have enough to help you with all of the oxygen you need pumping around your body in terms of restoring your energy levels, preventing fatigue, all that lethargy we get, and all the limited cognitive skills that come from just even very small depletions in our iron. So this is really, really iron rich. We've got going in later on, the spinach packed with iron. We've got the little roasted pumpkin seeds. Let me put some in my hands so you can see them. These amazing pumpkin seeds, they're full of iron. We've got loads of different benefits. I want to talk to you about whether you can grate some beetroot as opposed to the carrot maybe if you want even more. So all of these options available to you. Now, let me just have a little check of my onions here. So those are doing great. So what we're going to do now, we're starting to caramelise, is we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cumin. If you don't like cumin, clearly don't use cumin. I don't think it's that offensive to anyone, but you can always replace it with a curry powder, or if you're not a fan of Indian, then why not look at different options? Maybe put some paprika in. Maybe you could go down more of an Italian route and you can use oregano seasoning, things like that. Personally, I love Indian food, so I'm going to stick with 2 teaspoons of cumin, and we're just going to stir that into the saucepan. So 2 teaspoons. Be generous. I think this dish requires robust flavours, so please be generous with all your different flavourings. Let's give that a little stir. Okay, now I'm going to add them in last because they're hot. So whilst we're just giving them a few seconds, let's add the rest of our ingredients. We have got 150 grams of carrots, which is about 2 small carrots, okay? It's important with these measurements that you weigh them because they're the basis of the texture of your muffins. So if you have too much, it'll be too wet, too little, it'll be too dry. So it is important to weigh your carrot beforehand. And like I say, if you haven't got carrot in or you're not a fan of carrot, you can replace this with courgette or grated beetroot or something similar from the vegetable family. You could replace it with grated apple, but it's obviously going to give you a sweeter end result. So again, it's down to your preference of flavour. So pop that in, and again, because we're not wanting to knock out the air, just gently stir that through into your muffin mixture. Now, in addition to the cumin, I added, because I like spicy food, I added a little bit of crushed chilli to my ones yesterday. I loved it, and I do think you really notice that little kick. It's optional, but it is really good, and it speeds your metabolism up a bit, you know, at this time of year when it's all a bit cold. So if you like a little bit of heat, try it. Now again, this is post. If you're having it pre and you suffer any GI issues, chilies is probably a no. So let's go with, you know what I'm like, I'm gonna go with a pinch, but you could use your teaspoon if you like. Just a pinch straight in. Okay, the pumpkin seeds. Now, I've said on there to roast, and that is the traditional way that you would, you know, cook a pumpkin seed prior to using it in this. but to be honest, it's all a bit too much effort for me. So what I tend to do is dry fry them. The only thing is you have to keep your eye on them. These will roast or dry fry in about a minute to a minute and a half in a hot pan. So just, that's 40 grams, sprinkle them in, and I'm going to pop them on. Now, whilst I'm popping in my onions, and let me just show you my onions. So, we've got colour, but they're not necessarily cooked through all the way. They're going to continue to cook, obviously, when they're baked. I'm going to pop them in and talk to you about the benefits of pumpkin seeds. Look at both pumpkin seeds and nigella that we're going to add. They are packed with micronutrients, in particular, potassium and manganese. Now, potassium and manganese we use as athletes. They are there to replace the potassium and manganese we lose through sweat. So as a recovery, this is a brilliant way of replacing two really important ingredients, the potassium, the magnesium. So really try to get them in. They are abundant in lots of fruit and vegetables, but pumpkin seeds and all sorts of little seeds like the nigella seeds I'm going to put in are really good ways of just increasing the amounts you have. Now, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about my lovely toasting. Even now, I have got asbestos hands, so please don't do that. But even now, you can see they're starting to colour. Going to give them another 30 seconds. Second reason I love nigella seeds, in addition to the micronutrient content, is how pretty they look when these muffins raise. You get the lovely yellow of the muffin from the eggs, and then these little black shots of fabulous flavour and micronutrient dense. So we're going for 2 teaspoons of these. Pop them straight in. Just look. I do get excited about small things, don't I? But just look at the colour of them. Brilliant. I believe they're originally from the fennel family, which you wouldn't actually relate them to. And they're used a lot in Indian cooking. So, okay, that's looking great, okay? You can even hear these crackling away, ready to go in. That's how quickly they will roast. Now, whilst I'm spooning these, I mentioned about having your muffin trays on the recipe card with muffin trays, please, Johnny Mello, if you're cooking this morning, with little muffin cases, okay? And this is really important, A, because they'll stick inside there, but B, if you're taking them with you before a run or something, or transporting them after a run for a post-treat, these are really easy, just to go with you. Okay, whilst I'm going through this, let me talk about some different options of ingredients. You'll see that I've got 3 different versions. One version is the pancetta with cheddar cheese and red onion. It is fantastic. Now, pancetta isn't usually an ingredient that I would be extolling the virtues of. And I would say, obviously, with any red fatty meat like that, then you're going to want to limit it. However, it is an energy supply. It is a form of protein, and it is high in salt. So there are benefits to salts for athletes in terms of, again, replacing those that we lose in fat. The other benefit is the amount that I use. So I've given 100 grams of pancetta for the equivalent of 12 muffins. So if you work that out per muffin, there really isn't a lot there to worry about. The beauty of it is the intensity of the flavour. So this is really a key thing I'm going to keep reiterating with these savoury muffins. Choose strong, robust flavours that work well together. And again, you can do that one clearly without the pancetta in, but you can always add something like a really good mushroom that you've just pre-cooked before a tiny bit, bring out all the flavours. I love saltiness in my food, so olives would be great in this. Just dice them up, pop them in. Lovely and salty, work really well in this muffin or the parmesan and pine nut one. Think about flavours you like, think about what you're going to serve these with. If it's going to be Italian, maybe you'll want to do one with basil in it, maybe some mozzarella, maybe you can drop some pesto into your mixture at the end and I'll have like a line of pesto through it. Fresh basil leaves would work really well, just slice them quite finely. Do you know what I've forgotten to put in? My spinach. I'll put it in the last few just to show you. So with the spinach, I didn't actually cut my spinach on the ones I did yesterday because I'm using baby spinach, which is little baby spinach leaves like this. Now, for those of you that are time shy, you can just fold that through your mixture. However, if you want to give it a quick dice down, it's dead easy to do. And then you can just pop that in. So let me put them in the last 3. And again, this will wilt down to nothing. So I have recommended for 12 a bag. It's about 100 grams, some of them are 150. So again, that will look a lot initially, but I promise you, spinach literally goes to nothing. And again, it's brilliant for adding colour to these. So there's loads and loads of different ways of making these savoury muffins work for you and for obviously all of your family. Now, I did make some yesterday because I wanted to show you what they look like when they're cooked, etc. They will store really well, so you can freeze these guys, freeze them in suitable, protective, airtight containers, and they'll last you a month or two. Put them in your fridge, and as long as they're well protected again, they should last up to a week. Let me put mine in the oven. So we go for the middle tray. Look at these. This is my first attempt as well, guys. So I'm going to cut some of them open, but they really do look appealing. Look how yellow they are from the egg. Look at all the ingredients bursting out the top. If you're doing the ones with cheese, it says to use some of the grated cheese on top. I was a bit worried because they're in a hot oven, but amazingly, let me see, the ones with cheese, they're absolutely fine. So stick with that. Let me slice some of these up for you. Again, you can have them at room temperature, you can have them from the fridge, that's absolutely fine. If you want to rewarm them, then take them straight from the fridge and put them into a super hot oven, so a minimum of 400, I'd even go to 425, for about 5 minutes, and then that'll just warm them through for you. That's one of them. So you can see they're really robust, they don't fall apart, they could easily be taken and eaten just before a run, just after a run, in the car, super portable. Freeze them, obviously take them out the day before if you're freezing them and you want to reuse them. Let me know how you get on with them. I know you're going to be amazed. I got your feedback from all the beetroot muffins we made a few weeks ago. You were all amazed that they worked and they tasted great. They tasted like a chocolate muffin. Please let me know how you get on with today's recipe. Send me your photographs. If you come up with a fabulous different combination, please let me have it, because I'm going to be baking these now all the time in replacement for bread. I'm going to have mine with some soup later on. Let me know your different options. It's great to see you all. I look forward to next week. I think we're doing something sweet next week. So I'll post a recipe through Running Bear at the beginning of next week, and I'll look forward to seeing you all then. Take care. Thank you.